They're the first members of the DK crew. Welcome to Jackson Cloud. I'm Jamin.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Olivia.
And at the time of this recording, it is a windy day in Jackson. Did you guys get woken up or anything?
No.
No?
I couldn't sleep very long.
I was woke up by my dog barking in the middle of the night. And I was waiting for someone to come in and shoot me or something. Alas, the wind blew my windows open. Like these windows, you know what I mean? Like that thing.
The shutters?
Shutters?
No, not like up, down windows, left, right windows.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The wind perfectly blew into the crevices of two of them and shoved them open. And
That's
then
pretty impressive, actually.
That sounds spiritual to me.
we closed it after 3 a.m. And then I was playing Fortnite with Olivia when I heard...
Wait, at 3 in the morning?
No,
No,
this
that
was at like
10.
10 in the morning.
9.
9, yeah. And I go upstairs, and now the other two windows have been blown open, and one has just been thrown off the house into the front lawn. But for
Did the
me,
window break?
No, this is the 6th time it's happened. The house might be 100 years old.
What?
But there's something about that old, crappy window. You cannot kill that thing. It is. The glass doesn't even shatter when it hits the ground. It's amazing. So if you're looking for quality windows,
Try 100 years ago.
back when they made them out of lead or something.
No, it was just glass. Solid
And then I
glass.
drove home, and there was a trampoline in the middle of the road that had flown over someone's backyard fence and hit a car. So, anyways, another day in the windy city of Jackson. That's why we call it the Windy City
No,
here.
No, that's
not
Chicago.
Okay. Today we're in Revelation, and it has nothing to do with wind. Sorry to waste your time. When I opened the fourth scroll, when he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, "Come." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and its rider's name was Death, and Hades followed him. When they were given authority over a fourth of the earth to kill with the sword, and with famine, and with pestilence,
Why?
by the wild beasts of the earth.
Why?
Okay. I don't know. I couldn't stop. Okay, so we're on to we went through white, which we liken to royalty and kings and governing authorities when they go bad as a part of the cycle of the horses. We've seen that throughout history. Then we went to red, right? Yeah, red. Red was the...
Wait, was it red or black?
It was red. Red was the second horse. Yes, I'm correct.
Okay.
Red horse represented kind of like when society rises up and starts overthrowing each other. No one can live peacefully. Can I just not talk now? That one wasn't intentional. And then the black horse after that one represented kind of like the unfairness between the rich and the poor. The poor get poorer, the rich get richer, or at least remain unaffected. And now we're on to the pale horse.
Now I got a question.
Yeah.
What is the difference between a pale horse and a white horse?
One's white and one's like creamy pale.
But isn't that just mostly still just
Imagine
considered...
white versus blonde.
Alright, that makes more sense. Why would they just call it blonde then?
Because translations.
Well, what does pale mean when you think of it?
White. When his face went pale, means it's going white?
You know, there's like more than that, though. Someone's face has gone pale.
Usually implies like dread, some sort of emotion or sickness.
Sickness. Yeah. And what rises up with this is death.
So does that mean the horse is sickly then? If it's
Well-
a pale horse?
No. You're missing the point. You're missing the point.
You're missing the point, Casey.
Just because, like, in most things I've seen in media, death is always on a white horse. So it's like, I'm trying to make them as right as possible.
Well, isn't
but
Hades on the pale horse?
Death is on the pale
Death is on the
horse
pale
with
horse.
Hades,
Hades is
right
behind him.
behind him. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, well, okay. It's a lot of things being said. This one's like a yellowish green or green, light green or pale greenish gray. These would be other ways that you could interpret this word for pale.
So it's more like gray.
Well, you should be thinking like sickly, I think is a good way to think. I mean, this is death. And when you think of pale, a lot of times you're thinking of like someone is really not doing well. They might be on the verge of death or they're, they need to be healed or it's going to go bad. But, so at that point, what Olivia was saying, I think, yeah, sickness plays a easy way of thinking of this. I mean, this represents sword, famine, pestilence, and wild beasts. But between all that, there's certainly pale, death-like feelings to it. But then what you said, you're used to seeing death on a white horse. What kind of media is that? I'm trying to...
I mean,
Oh, so you're not. You just
No,
think you are.
it's from Supernatural. But
Oh,
because
of
I
course.
mentioned that a lot.
But
But,
show that you always somehow find a way to mention, yeah.
well, I mean, because death is mentioned. And in their case, he's riding a white Ford Mustang. So he's riding a white horse.
What is wrong with this show you watch?
Sorry.
So, like, that's what it was going off of. And it was...
That's really funny, actually.
Okay, well, in this particular story, it's a pale horse. But I do think there might be something there, too. Because, I mean, pale, even when we think of that, we still kind of have, like, a whitish idea in mind. Even if it's really more of, like, a gray or greenish. Like, it's like sickly white, right? Usually when we think of it. And I feel like in that sense, later we're going to come across Jesus on a white horse. We already said we didn't think the first white horse, or at least I said it, I don't think the first white horse is Jesus, because he's running with this gang of these other horses that are doing these horrible things. But the white horse later is like the real Jesus. So, the first white horse of royalty in Revelation 6 is like attempting to mimic Jesus. We're the way, comes follow us, which we've seen that with American politics all the time, where it's Republican or it's Democrat. This is the way of Christ, follow that, Whereas Jesus is like, no, I'm over here, actually.
Or the Mandalorian, this is the way.
Sure, Jesus said it first. But then pale, you'd also kind of think of a mimic of Jesus, sort of, right? As though, like, I don't know, it's like a deathly white. So it's almost possible that John's like picturing, like, here's another thing trying to say this is the way. And how often do people fall for that? Where death becomes like the answer to everybody's problems. Oh, these people over here, they're all wrong. Just war, famine, whatever you can to kill them. And that's how we find justice and that's how we find domination. Whereas Jesus again is like, no, I'm over here. It's like, I come to bring life and life abundant. But in this case, yeah, death shows up and has a capital D, at least in my translation right here in the ESV. And Hades is following right behind him. What does that mean? You have two characters. You almost wonder, like, is there going to be like the five horsemen, or is death just running? It's almost as though Hades is like beheading people as he's going along, and death is beheading people as he's going along, and Hades is just like sweeping them up with a net type thing.
So it's not the blue-haired guy with long fingers and like following behind.
No,
from Hercules?
it's not. It's
No.
not Disney's Hades.
Okay.
Do you need to go to a timeout, Casey?
No, I'm just saying, like, when you say Hades, that's what originally comes to mind.
Well, we're headed there next anyways, so fine. Let's talk about Hades. What
Well,
is...
no, like, you mentioned it, so I'm just like, blue hair, like...
No, Casey, it's not a...
That's what I'm imagining!
Stop slamming the table!
Because Disney.
That's
It's
not...
Disney's fault.
It's
It was
Disney.
Greek mythology, first off, before Disney did anything. Okay, so Hades is following behind, but it's like personified as a person here. So what is Hades?
I already said
The
my answer, and you didn't
underworld?
like it.
The underworld. Good, yeah. So take that a step further, because we've talked about it a little bit before, like Hades, is that hell? Is that something else? What is it? Who's got the right answer?
Well, it's like the not yet hell.
Oh, that's an interesting way to say it, sure. Yeah. Hades is the realm of the dead. This is Old Testament Sheol. Again, I know we've done some cosmology episodes throughout the last few years, but Hades is not hell. Hell is, we're going to see at the end of Revelation. It's more, you can decide if you're going to go there or not. My opinion is hell doesn't quite exist yet. It is something that is brought in at the consummation of this age. And that is when it shows up to get rid of everything that's wrong with the world. But all throughout the Bible, in the Old Testament, when you die, you go to the underworld, which is Sheol. And in the New Testament, it's just, they sub in a different word. It's Hades. Hades is where, Hades is Sheol. It's the underworld. It's where the dead go. It's the realm of the dead. So it's where Satan has been banished. He used to be in the highest place, is what one of the prophets tell us, but, well, not the highest place. He was in the high places, tried to go to the highest place and usurp God, and was kicked out to the lowest place. This is all the more reason why he's likened to, of all the creatures in history, he's likened to a snake. First off, because, well, there were snakes. That terrified me.
I thought I was going to destroy your Legos, but your ship's held up.
First off, there were...
Woo! What did you just step on?
I stepped on my water bottle. Everything's going wrong. First
All
off,
right, empty corkboard. Let's
first
go.
off, there were snakes.
There were snakes.
There were snakes.
On a plane?
No.
Nope, that's a different thing. First off, there were snakes in. No, that's not the statement, Jamin. Come on. I'm very distracted by posters falling off of walls.
Technically, it was off of the corkboard.
Yeah, thank you, Casey. Snakes, of all the creatures, they don't have legs. As though they've been chopped down to the lowest place, slither on their bellies, like they can't get any lower to the ground than that. So, of all the animals you might liken Satan to, a snake makes sense because A, there are snake-like spiritual beings called seraphim, and B, Satan has been sentenced all the way to the bottom, just like a snake is all the way
No,
to the
did
bottom.
snakes ever have wings?
That's just a dragon, Casey.
No, but I mean, like...
That's Revelation, 14.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, what? Don't...
Because I'm just wondering
don't
if they...
science books show that they had, the limbs at one point?
Maybe. I don't fully remember. I'm just
That's
thinking
what my high school history books, science books said.
I'm just thinking if they were at the highest place, they would need to have wings to get higher. But if he got rid of all appendages, it would be legs and wings.
Well, when I say seraphim, I don't mean, living earthly creatures. I mean, angelic, snake-like beings.
Oh, no, I was thinking actual earthly creatures.
No, because seraphim is it's a fiery serpent is more or less what it means. Like an angelic serpentine creature.
Dragon.
Yeah, something like a dragon. So
Or like
there
Godzilla.
or Godzilla. Yeah, there are angels that look like snakes. So Satan fits that. But there are also I'm so distracted by the poster that fell off the wall. I'm sorry. But snakes are an earthly example of something cut down to the bottom. Okay, that was all. That was all. So Hades and Satan, like, those things belong together. He's the king of the underworld. The Lord of Death, I think, is what Hebrews is going to call him. So it makes sense that he's on a horse coming through capital death, chopping off everybody's head, and the underworld just scooping them up on the way. So there's our cosmology that helps us kind of get that into place. And he's given authority over a fourth of the earth to kill with sword. So there's war there, right? Famine. So, yeah, food's run low. Pestilence, which, how do we define pestilence?
Disease.
Oh, and pestilence is Thanatos, which is, I think, Thanos. It's like death. No, I mean that's where these words come from Greek. So he's given sword, famine, and Thanatos, death. Why do they go pestilence? That doesn't feel like that captures the Thanatos. No.
I don't know. You just start saying Thanatos, and I keep thinking of Thanos, and that's all I go to is Endgame.
Thanatos refers primarily to physical death, but also used for spiritual death or damnation. Okay.
Yeah, pestilence doesn't make any sense then.
Well, I mean, pestilence has a wider meaning, right? When we think of it. I just think it sounds weird that death comes and he brings about death. It's like, whoa.
I mean, it makes sense.
So what is death? What's the word for that? It's Thanatos. And its rider's name was Thanatos, and he brought with him sword, famine, and Thanatos. Or pestilence, I guess, is another way that you could translate that.
That's a weird translation.
Well,
because, I mean, if he were coming, he would be bringing himself automatically because he is them themselves.
Yeah, but it's like the person versus the action.
yeah, I guess. Either way, it's weirding me out. Greek words, right? Okay, and then also wild beasts. Brings about wild beasts of the earth. What do you do with that? Any ideas?
Snakes.
Monsters.
Snakes and monsters. Great.
No,
I think
it's
we're
snakes
back
and
on.
ladders, Casey.
Oh.
That's not.
I thought that was shoots and ladders.
There's both versions.
Oh, okay.
So, on target, why are wild beasts suddenly showing up here?
Minions? Death would need minions, because minions are always needed by the big bad guy.
Well, wild beasts of the earth. So when you say monsters, we're not talking like supernatural creatures here.
No, we could.
Just think like, think about the cities where a bull gets loose, right? Bull in a china shop or
Actually, that was proven wrong.
what? Bulls in china
A
shops?
bull doesn't actually, he knows that the structure's there and avoids it.
That's not what I was talking about.
But Mythbusters proved that bulls in
No,
a
I'm
china
just-
shop is not a thing.
No, that's not. All I meant was, you ever see like
It's
a?
been proven by Mythbusters.
Have you seen a video of a creature that gets loose in a city? Like, people are running for their lives.
Godzilla, yeah.
This episode is out of control. You run for your lives. If it's a bull, and if people see a mouse, they run for their
I
lives.
mean, if you're thinking about the running of the bulls, then you could do it that way.
Sure, yeah, whatever. I'm just saying, like,
Because if there's more than one in the street, it causes chaos.
Well, wild beasts showing up, like, that's bound to bring about a lot of chaos and possibly even death along with it, things like that. But he's also, John's doing what he always does. He's throwing all his verses in a blender. We can tie this one back to Ezekiel, when I sinned against Jerusalem for dreadful judgments, swords and famine, and wild beasts and plague. So, wild beasts, that, of course, would be terrifying, especially in ancient times. I mean, if you go back far enough, like, you better be careful if you run into a wild beast or your child is outside playing in the wilderness. Like,
I mean, for us, the better way to think of it is probably like a bear or a moose.
yeah, because up at my
Moose.
family,
Well, right. I'm just...
my, like, extended family's cabin, we just caught on like the video feed that there was a bear out back, you know? And so like next time I go there, I'd be like, am I comfortable just letting my kids run around do whatever?
Black or brown?
I don't know, Olivia.
It was a black and white camera.
I don't know. I
You
didn't
should
see
still
it.
be able to tell how dark it
I
was.
didn't see it. My point is.
Because brown bear, yeah, watch your kids. Black bear, they're pretty scaredy cats. You can scare them away.
I don't. All right. My point is.
I recently watched a video of a black bear getting scared by pigs. Pigs scared it away. It was really funny.
My point is that bears are scary and could do things, you know?
Yeah.
Sure.
So imagine a world in which just the chaos of the wilderness or the outside world just suddenly breaks into a city. Think Florida, alligators just walking around, like, you know, get enough of that going on. It's terrifying. You don't know what could happen. So we're looking
That's
at
true.
like Satan, death, Hades all coming along, and with that comes like everything that you'd think belongs with the underworld. Thanatos, sword, famine, pestilence, death, and death, right? Along with wild beasts just roaming around, which is more death, or eating carcasses, or add whatever you want into here. Like,
But bear claws are tasty.
add whatever you want in here. The fourth rider, you know, this one's like the last one for a reason, because this is where things get like end of end type stuff.
I want donuts.
Sorry.
This is your fault.
It is my fault. But it was too good of a pun to pass up. They're a play on words.
With that being said, I'm sorry you watched this episode, and we will make sure posters don't fall off the wall and distract us off our game.
We can't
Next time.
promise it won't happen again.
It's true.
It
will.
didn't distract me at all. It was great.
Casey's always distracted. It doesn't count.
Yeah, he's usually asleep.